Bedtime stories. The ice wall beyond the gray sea. Hay say the world ends at the ice wall, that it stretches endlessly, impossibly tall, with winds that speak in the voices of those who died at sea. But the old man in the tavern said something different. He said the wall isn't the end of the world. He said it's what's keeping something in. Part 1. The Port of Velgra. The Port of Velgra smelled like fish guts, salt, and old rope. Sailors shouted. Boots clanged against the wooden docks, and gulls screamed overhead like ghosts. Traders moved crates of dried meat, spices, and glass-bottled moon wine from boats to barrows, shouting curses in 5 different dialects. The sea, just beyond the chaos, was calm and pale gray, as if unsure whether to sleep or devour. I was 19 when I first signed onto the Cradle's Mercy, a broad-hulled merchant ship, with sails the color of bone and a captain who spoke in riddles and coughed blood into a red scarf. His name was Lorik. They said he'd sailed past the Pillar Isles and come back with coral scars in the shape of runes across his spine. But that voyage, it wasn't for trade. He told us we were going north, past the whale graveyards, past the skyfall currents, to see the ice wall. We thought it was a myth, a towering sheet of frozen death where the world simply ended. But Lorik had a map inked on whale skin and a look in his eyes that made even the oldest sailors go quiet. So we loaded up salted pork, barrels of ale, 3 water mages for purification, and enough lantern oil to light a city. There were 33 of us when we left port. Part 2, the Gray Sea. For the first 5 days, the sea was generous. The wind filled our sails like dragon lungs, and the sky burned a soft orange at dusk. We saw fish I'd never imagined. Schools of rainbow-scaled sunblinkers, some no larger than your palm, that would leap from the water in glittering arcs like living fireworks. At night, deep fire eels glowed beneath the ship, illuminating the hull in shifting reds and blues, as if the ocean itself pulsed with a heartbeat. By the 10th day, we passed the Pillar Isles, jagged columns of rock clawing from the sea like broken teeth. A tribe lived on the largest isle, men and women who painted their skin with seaweed dye and worshipped the ocean as a god that dreams in tides. They gave us gifts of dried kelp and whispered warnings. When the wind stops, so must you. When the waves run backward, do not follow. We laughed then. We shouldn't have. Part 3 followed. It began on day 15. The wind stilled. The sea grew glassy and dead. Not even a ripple. We dropped oars and paddled forward, hoping to ride the current. That's when the first sailor vanished. His name was Bran. Quiet, strong. He was fishing over the side near dawn when we heard the splash. No scream. No fight. Just gone. We searched. Nothing. That night we saw it. A shape miles behind us, cutting through the still sea without a sound. No sail. No oars. No crew. Just the presence. A silhouette. Long, low, and sharp like a shark's dorsal fin. We couldn't make out details, but it never left our wake. No matter how fast we rowed or how still we went, it followed. Captain Lorik never acknowledged it, but I saw him staring at it sometimes, lips moving in silent prayer, fingers tapping his bloody scarf. By day 20, the sea changed. Part 4, Creatures of the Deep. The water grew colder. Not crisp, but biting. We passed through fields of glass stingfish, transparent things that hovered just below the surface, trailing tendrils of light. If touched, they would explode in a flash of soundless force, enough to shatter small boats. At night we heard singing. Not human. High-pitched, melodic, always just beneath the surface. It came from every direction, and it made the wood of the ship vibrate. Some men stuffed cloth in their ears. Others just wept. We spotted creatures older than myth. A leviathan, its back covered in barnacles the size of oxen. A serpentine beast that arched from the sea, revealing hundreds of eyes along its neck. Floating isles of jelly flesh, pulsing and groaning, with bones trapped inside them. The ship that followed us, still there, closer now. One morning it was beside us. No crew, no noise, just a wooden hull, blackened by rotten salt, its mast broken, its deck empty. Lorik called it the Hollow Wake. Part 5, the Ice Wall. On day 30, we saw it. It rose from the horizon like the sky, had cracked in two, miles high, endless in both directions. Not white, but a deep blue so cold it hurt to look at. Wind screamed off the surface of the ice, not around it, through it, as if it was breathing. Men dropped to their knees. Some whispered prayers. Others just stared, mouths open. Lorik stood at the bow, hands outstretched, eyes wide with awe. "This is where the world ends," he said. "This is where the world was sealed." We sailed closer. Etchings lined the ice, markings too large to be human-made. Giant sigils, like chains carved into the wall itself. And then we heard it, something pounding from the other side. Something huge. A thud. Then silence. Then another, louder, closer. The ice shook, and then something whispered, not in the wind, but inside our heads. "Who unchains the sea unchains me." The hollow wake slammed into us from behind. No crew, no warning, just a crash of rot and frozen timber. Half our men thrown into the sea. Captain Lorik was last seen walking across the shattered deck toward the ice wall, barefoot, smiling, eyes glowing like frost fire. He stepped onto the ice like it was calling him, and the pounding stopped. We escaped, just 6 of us. We drifted for weeks before washing ashore in some southern province. I don't know how far we went. I don't know what we woke up there. But the ocean has been different since. The fish don't swim near the surface anymore. The currents have changed. And some coastal towns say they hear singing in the night. They think the ice wall is still holding. But I know better. We cracked it, and something on the other side started smiling back. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more. Part 6. The crack widens. We try not to talk about it. What we saw, what we heard. The few of us who survived the wreckage drifted back into the world like shadows, scattered across kingdoms. I returned to a village inland, far from sea. I worked as a carpenter, kept to myself, but sleep never came easy, because the dream started almost immediately. Always the same. I'm standing before the ice wall again, the sea frozen around my ankles, and Lorik is there, his face now hollow, eyes frostbitten and stitched shut. Behind him, the wall pulses, no longer still, but breathing, cracking inch by inch. And I can hear it again. That voice, the one from inside the ice. One crack is all I need. At first, I thought it was just guilt, but then I started to notice changes. The rivers near my village stopped flowing in the right direction. Fish were found bloated and boneless, turned inside out, floating upstream. Children were born with webbing between their fingers and translucent skin that shimmered in moonlight. A trader passed through from the southern coast and spoke of entire ports abandoned overnight. No signs of struggle, just damp footprints leading from shore to every doorstep. He said the local priest claimed it was a punishment from the deep one. He drew its symbol for me. It matched the carvings on the ice wall. Part 7, the others. I tried reaching the others, those who survived the voyage. One had already vanished. The tavern keeper in his village said he'd started talking to his reflection and eventually walked into the sea at low tide, never returned. Another was locked away in a monastery, refusing to speak. The last, Jarlon the cook, lived in the western cliffs. When I found him, he was sitting at the edge of a cliff, facing the ocean. He didn't even turn when I approached. He just said, "We didn't find the edge of the world, you know. We found its prison door." I asked him what was behind it. He smiled, slowly with pale, cracked lips, and whispered, "Not a monster, not a god, just what came before." Part 8, the ice speaks. Last week, the sky turned red for 3 full minutes. No storm, no fire, just crimson light, like the world itself was blushing. Birds dropped from the sky, and the lakes froze solid in midsummer. That night, I heard singing again, not in the distance, from my cellar. I opened a trapdoor and found water pooling at the base, clear and frigid, despite no pipes or entry. Floating in it was a single piece of ice, pulsing softly with glow I can only describe as ancient. When I touched it, my vision went white. I saw the sea swallowing cities, the ice wall collapsing in waves taller than mountains. Something rising from the dark, limbs that weren't limbs, eyes that weren't eyes. Not rage, not vengeance, just hunger, a return. And I saw Lorik, standing at the edge of the thawing sea, no longer a man, whispering words in forgotten tongue to ships sailing unknowingly north. Final words. I am writing this by candlelight. I don't know how much longer I have. I can feel the tides calling. The walls creak at night as if straining under the pressure of something beneath. The dreams come every night now, longer, louder. The sea is changing. The world is remembering. And the ice wall was never built to keep us out. It was built to keep it in. And now, it's listening.